Today I'm going to be talking to you all about buying a car. And not just buying a new car, but specifically buying a used car. Now, I personally think that buying a used car is better in every situation of life than buying a brand new car. And I'm going to give you a few reasons later on of why you should focus on buying a used car and not a brand new car. Now, I would consider myself a credible source. I have bought used cars in the past. I've never had a car payment in my entire life. I would not buy a car myself if I didn't have the money to pay for all of it or have at least, or at most, a 2 to 3 year payment plan for that car. But I'm going to tell you why buying a new car is such a bad idea. So, according to David Batch, he's actually a financial author. He's written many books, but he had a segment on CNBC.com with the title of the article "Buying a New Car is a Single Worst Financial Decision," and he talks about how the biggest mistake that millennials and younger people who aren't as maybe financially stable as people who are older and have more career type jobs that they buy a new car. And he says that's the worst decision you could do because as soon as you buy that car and you drive out the lot, like as soon as you cross into the road, it drops anywhere from 20 to 30% immediately. I mean, there's no resale of getting that same money back per se, and that's according to the article was written by Kathleen Elkins, and there's many other reasons like this article by Emmett Pierce, and it's on the simpledollar.com, and the title is called 10 Reasons to Ignore New Car Ads and Buy a Used Vehicle Instead. And one of the points on that article was talking about how people think that they need to buy a new car all the time when in reality you can buy a car that got driven off the lot that is anywhere from 2 to 5 years old that is just as equally as good as a new car, but it might have a little bit of miles on it. And people say like, oh, I don't want to buy a used car because I don't want to have to do all the repairs and everything for it because that can get costly. But I'm not just talking about how like every time you get a used car, you don't have to get a 15-year-old to 10-year-old car. You can get a car that is 2 to 3 years old and it's half the price of the newest one, even though it's almost exactly the same. And people don't take into account the risks of buying a new car because most companies don't even figure out like when cars get recalled until anywhere from a year to 5 years down the road. So it's honestly safer to do your research on a used car and prioritize that and get a car that actually is stable that you know for sure rather than risking it on something that's way more expensive. And another article titled "Why You Should Never Buy a Brand New Car" by Chlarna Una Enos like one thing to take into consideration is the taxes on the car. So I mean, around the country, it's around an average of 9 to 10% just sales tax in the states that do have it. So if you're buying a twenty to $30,000 car, if you have 10%, you can do the math. That's a lot of money, um, and there's specific states that have like the yearly tax for your personal property and things like that. Like I'm from Missouri, and we have that has to go to like our tags and everything every year. And um, that website is smartassets.com. And another reason that I think a lot of people don't really take into consideration when they buy a new car is that you actually don't own the car. I mean, if you pay upfront for all the money that is what the car is worth, like let's say it's $20,000 and you pay it, then obviously you own the car. But when you take a loan out of a bank or whether it's a car dealership and you're paying back the car dealership or the bank, you don't own the car until it's paid off. You could be one payment away, but legally you don't own the car. I mean, and I don't think a lot of people consider that when they buy a vehicle, saying like, "Oh, this is my car," but in reality, it's not. It's not your car, and that's on That's the on the I learned that from the website jalopnik.com, and the article is by Freddie Hernandez, and the title is "Here are 4 reasons why you should never ever finance a new car." And I have a few examples of situations where you can save drastic amount of money from just getting a used car that's a few years older. So I looked on just Carfax.com, and I found a 2015 BMW 3 Series 320i X-Drive for $15,469, and it doesn't even have 37,000 miles on it. Okay, and that car's not that old. It's around 5 to 6 years old. But then you look at the new BMWs, which is I looked up the 2020 BMW 3 Series, which is a series of their cars, and they start off at $41,745 or $41,745. I mean that's ridiculous, and they can go up to $100,000, as long as everything goes on. So I think I think hopefully I gave all of you some insight on buying a vehicle that could be even a couple years older, that you look into and that you do your research on, make sure it doesn't have any recurring big problems, because a lot of cars do. And I'm here to make you all some or save you all some money. All right, you have a good one.